Once again, I want to welcome people to Leveraging Regional Partnerships to Engage Residents in Municipal Energy Campaigns. We are going to get started momentarily. We have started our YouTube live stream. That will be archived on the Eventbrite page, and we're going to get going in just a moment. So thanks for joining us this afternoon. Hello, happy Friday afternoon. My name is Martin Daly. I'm the Director of Water Quality Programs for the Capital District Regional Planning Commission. I'm actually more, for the purposes of today, your MC for the afternoon's program. Welcome to Leveraging Regional Partnerships to Engage Residents in Municipal Clean Energy Campaigns, presented by CDRPC. Before we get started in going to our wonderful presenters, I wanted to welcome everybody for joining the second webinar in our webinar series. CDRPC does these webinars for two reasons. One is to keep planners and municipal officials, code enforcement officers, stormwater managers engaged and keep their skill set sharp, but also for planning and zoning board members to obtain their necessary credits of hours of training each year. The state requires planning and zoning board members obtain 4 hours of training per year. Municipalities have a wide latitude in the training that they will accept for those 4 hours. After the webinar, 24 hours after our webinar concludes, we will have an email that is distributed out to the folks that are joining us today. And that email may be submitted to your community to confirm that you attended the webinar session this afternoon. So look for that in your email inboxes exactly 24 hours after the event closes, and certainly reach out to us at CDRPC if you need some assistance getting confirmation that you attended this webinar for those credits. For our friends who have AICP and are looking for certification maintenance, this webinar has received the certification maintenance, and that has been posted on the American Planning Association website. I do want to take a moment and share with you how you can access the recorded archives of prior webinars. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure to share the right screen. If you'll give me just a moment, I can do that. And I'm going to make sure the right screen is loaded. If you do go to Eventbrite, you can access, whoops, close, please close. You can go to our sessions. What I'm going to do now is share that screen. Let's do that. Actually, you're going to see me on YouTube. I believe what you should see now is the Eventbrite page. This is if you're going to eventbrite.com and you're signing in. You can hit access the event by clicking that button on the right-hand side. If you're using the email that was sent to you to confirm your ticket to our webinar series, you'll actually be taken to this screen directly. There's our first webinar in the series presented by Environmental Facilities Corporation. And right below is the nested video, which is an archive of that presentation. Here we are. So if you joined this webinar from your email, what you did when you clicked the link was simply join now. So this video is on that same page, and that's where we're going to continue to archive the video resources. We are also, hopefully I'm not going to break the internet here, we are live streaming our sessions to an unlisted link, and that is where the details will come from. At the conclusion of our webinar series, the links will be available on our website as well. But these videos are available only for our program registrants and only through Eventbrite at this period in time. So let's stop that share. You are not here for me to speak. You're here for our distinguished guests. I do want to remind people, we do have a Q&A function. I see one person has already used it, and I will be certain to make sure that you get your email confirming your attendance. Thanks for letting us know. We did have a hiccup where some of our attendees did not get that automatic email. So thank you. I will follow up with you after the event. But you're using the Q&A function already. That's a great sign. If folks want to ask questions for the Q&A function or the chat, please feel free to do so. I'll function kind of like like a radio DJ. You'll submit questions about the session or sports, and I'll relay those back to our expert panelists during the duration of our webinar, much like a radio DJ. I'll pick my spots to be able to have them answered live for you as we move forward. So with that, I do want to begin our session. We have Joanne Coons, Kathy Bizzoni, Jason West, and our very own Tara Donadio here to present to you this afternoon. All of them are muted and their screens are off, so I want to let them know we're ready for you if you want to make your grand entrance. So I appreciate the opportunity to introduce my colleague, Tara Donadio. She is going to kick things off for us this afternoon. And again, welcome to our presenters and welcome to folks joining us for this webinar. Tara, take it away.
Thanks, Martin. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. As Martin noted, I'm Tara Donadio, and I am going to share my screen. All right, and let me go to presenter mode. All right, you should all be seeing this. Great. So I am the Assistant Director of Sustainability here at CDRPC. I'm just going to start by giving a bit of an overview of what campaigns are, what the programs are that we work on, why these wonderful guests have joined us to kind of talk about their case studies with campaigns, but it's just some background context and basically how you can get started with these community campaigns if you want to do so in your own regions or communities. So just to start off, our sustainability team here at CDRPC, there's 3 of us, myself, our director, Todd Fabosi, and our outreach coordinator, Haley Belkanoff. We work in the 8-county region, the REDC region, so a little bit bigger than CDRPC's 4-county region. So from Warren, Washington, all the way down to Greene, Columbia counties on clean energy communities, climate smart communities, and clean heating and cooling or heat smart. So we've got a big portfolio of sustainability programs. So the NYSERDA Clean Energy Community Programs is one of our largest programs and kind of what I'll be focusing on today as far as the campaigns go, and how that's supported in grants and all of that fun stuff. Most recently, we have started to support the DEC's Climate Smart Communities program, which if you're not familiar with, is kind of a program that goes beyond mitigation and kind of goes to resiliency and adaptation. And then also we do a residential outreach program called Heat Smart, where we focus on heat pump energy and education. And they all kind of work together in a way too. So, but again, I'm going to focus on clean energy communities where these campaigns are kind of hosted. This program, the Clean Energy Program, has been around since about 2016, if you're not familiar with it. This is the second round of NYSERDA's program. And basically, because the first round was just so successful, there was tons and tons of match-free grants, and they all were expended and used and awarded, and it was exciting. So NYSERDA decided to fund a second round, and here we are in the middle of it with some more funding on the table. So just to give you a little idea of who's participating, because I think that this map is pretty impactful. And unfortunately, I cut off part of the North Country there. So I apologize if anyone's up there, but there are some communities. Basically, you can see that every region of the state, every county is represented by participation in this program. It is just accessible to pretty much any type of community, large, small, rural, urban. And the biggest reason for the popularity is probably the grants with this program. Communities are asked to do high impact actions, which are energy saving, greenhouse gas reducing projects. They also tend to reduce costs, a lot of these actions. But by doing these actions, NYSERDA is awarding communities grants, match-free grants, I should say, because that's a critical piece of this program that makes it so popular. There is designation grants, so grants for doing 4 actions in the program. There's points-based grants this round, which are basically, each action has a certain number of points associated with it. The more difficult the action, the higher the points, and you get point grants based on these point levels. And then kind of what we're focusing on today, which is the action grants, which is where you do one thing, one very impactful thing, and you get a grant for it. And these are just a list of the high impact actions. You can see there's a ton of options. LED streetlights, benchmarking, clean fleets, which is EV, procurement and infrastructure. But today the community campaigns is the highlight. You can see you can get up to 1,100 points and grants of up to $60,000, depending on your community size, just for doing these actions. So community campaigns, so down to what they are. There are 4 campaign types, and basically what the gist is you are engaging residents of your municipality in clean energy technologies. So instead of, purchasing an EV for your fleet or installing solar on one of your buildings, you are actually asking residents to do this and helping to encourage them to access this if they want to, and then tracking the signups and kind of finding out who is doing it, reaching thresholds, and then getting credit for these signups. So there's 4 types: community solar, electric vehicles, demand response, and clean heating and cooling and energy efficiency. So just diving into what those are. Community solar, which I think is probably the easiest. Actually, all 3 of our guests have pursued this campaign type and achieved it, and it's probably the most popular, the most grants awarded, because it's pretty easy. If you're not familiar with community solar, it's CDG, or community distributed generation. It's guaranteed cost savings to subscribers of up to 10%. So it's a subscription. It's free to join. You can leave within 60 days, which is basically the utility putting the credits on your bill. And basically how the community engages is they promote the subscriptions to the residents, help them to sign up with a company, track those, and then figure out when they've reached the threshold. So for thresholds, they're based on community size, and you'll see these boxes in each of the actions that each of the campaign types, based on population size. So for small, it's 10. For large, it's 25 signups required, which are pretty achievable thresholds for a free program. That sometimes actually the community companies or community solar companies actually will provide an additional incentive to residents to sign up. So it's just such a low-hanging fruit. And then if you do this, you get grants. So you'll see the large community grants have all been expended in New York State. They are statewide. There was only 10 of them. Albany actually snagged one on the call, as did the county and the town of Colony. So we've got 3 of those 10 right in our region, right in our county, in Albany County, actually. So it's pretty exciting, but they are unfortunately all gone. But if you're a small community, there's still grants. So the next campaign type is electric vehicles. If you didn't know, New York State's going to require all passenger cars and trucks sold to be zero emission by 2035. So this is a priority, getting people comfortable with purchasing EVs. Basically, the community would promote new vehicle purchases by partnering with local dealerships to help track those. And there's different ways to approach this. And our guests will actually talk about, Kathy will talk about her experience with kind of, working with dealerships to get these. Again, small, large communities, same thresholds, 5 and 10, or I'm sorry, this is lower thresholds. There's only 5 required and 10 required, and the grants of 5 and 15. Demand response. So this one's confusing to people because it's just not like a clear, like, what is this? If you have demand response, sometimes the utility calls it something different. Basically, when the grid is stressed, utilities want a way to kind of use smart meters to kind of basically signal your thermostat to either pre-cool their homes before a peak event or increase the thermostat setting during a peak event. So they have control of your smart meter. You have to have a smart thermostat. You have to have heating and cooling, and they do give you an incentive through most utilities just to sign up for this type of service. And you can opt out of any one if you have like a party going on or something, but it's a pretty easy thing to do. So you'd partner with the utility basically to track and help promote this type of program. And you can see the grants and thresholds there. Clean heating and cooling and energy efficiency. This is heat pumps and insulation and all of those fun things. Heat pumps are the most efficient way to heat and cool your home. It's electrified, so there's no fossil fuels involved. Depending on your current heating, you can actually lower your energy bills. And of course, insulation just helps lower the cost for energy bills all around. So you'd partner with either a local Heat Smart campaign, which fortunately we run a Heat Smart campaign right at CDRPC, or you could choose your own installers to promote and track installations. Now you can see the points levels for this are a bit higher. NYSERDA really encourages this because it's such a critical transition that we need to make. So they're giving 500 points for these campaigns. Just a slide about what Heat Smart Capital Region is, in case you'd like to partner with us on this campaign. So we do outreach, promotion, education about heat pump technology. We're NYSERDA supported, and basically, the types of technologies are ground source, air source, heat pump water heaters, and of course, energy efficiency. Usually instead of municipalities, we're working with residents, but of course, municipalities can take advantage of this too. And we have 5 companies that we vetted in the region that basically through a pretty rigorous RFP process where we send leads to help evaluate, get free, evaluations and installs for that program. So similar partnerships that you can engage in the region to basically work on these campaigns so that you know that you're not alone in kind of this type of thing. There are groups that are already doing this work. So Solarize Albany, for example, who Albany has partnered with, and I'm sure we'll talk about, is doing and has been doing their own community solar outreach for quite a few years now, actually. And they're, well-versed in this. So a great partner. CDTC is, knows electric vehicles, and they do a lot of drive clean events and those types of things. So partnering with them to do some outreach would be good. And then of course, again, Heat Smart Capital Region and our heat pump outreach. So there's just ways to not go this alone. We have had a ton of success with community campaigns in the capital region. We're very proud of our communities, including the 3 that are on this webinar today, but $160,000 in grants have been achieved from community campaigns. There's 24 communities participating in at least one of those 4 campaign types, but usually they're doing more than one. It just makes sense. Once you're doing outreach, you might as well outreach about many clean energy technologies. And then they use these match-free grants for things like heat pumps, EVs, LED lighting, composting projects. And there's some great pictures there. The Schenectady Drive Clean event that they held, Chatham's community solar tabling that they did. And then I stole one of Joanne's pictures, which she'll probably share as well, making some wonderful banners for their campaign in Clifton Park.
Here,
so how would you?
Question.
Sure. Go
Sorry
ahead.
to jump. I tried to jump in.
No, it's okay. Go.
We had a question from Steve on the topic of promoting EV conversion. Is there a proposed replacement for the NYSERDA Charge Ready New York program, which expired roughly 6 months ago?
Great question. Great question.
Very much needed.
Yeah, we are unfortunately hearing that it will not be renewed unless I'm missing something that's newer. But last I heard from a few different sources, unfortunately, we're hearing that's not going to be renewed. So I'm not sure. There is still the utility make ready programs, which cover the cost of basically the conduit and all that back end fun stuff. And then for municipalities, there's the ZEV infrastructure grants, which are only for municipalities, and those are intended to be released, I think this month, actually. Good question. Okay. All right. So how would you start a campaign if you wanted to? So NYSERDA requires you to kind of do some planning. There's this scoping document that you would complete. It's a couple pages long, and it basically says, like, here's our plan to do outreach. We can help you with that. Reach out to myself or Haley, your 2 regional coordinators, to help. And then you would submit that to NYSERDA. They would approve it. And that's the date that you can begin to count signups. you'd count the signups, work with the partners, work with the companies, get the numbers, and then submit your actions and hopefully snag a grant. And I'm just going to mention the people that are going to be talking to you about this. So first, we're going to have Jason West from the City of Albany, the City of Albany Sustainability Director. They did community solar, clean heating and cooling, and they're working on an EV campaign. Joanne Coons is then going to talk from Clifton Park's Green Committee. They did all 4 campaign types. And then Kathy Bazzoni from the Town of Queensbury's Climate Smart Committee is going to talk about their EV campaigns, but they also did a community solar campaign. So without further ado, unless there's a question.
Wait, there's some ado.
There's ado.
We got a question from Michelle. Seems like
Sure.
the biggest lift for demand response program is the upgrade to a smart meter. Are there any known programs or funding for that component of infrastructure?
Good question. Actually, the utilities, if you purchase right through their websites, have some really good built-in rebates. So National Grids is like National Grid Marketplace. You can Google and you can actually purchase the meter right through them. And I think you get, I want to say maybe $50, that might be wrong, rebate off of them. And some of them are free because they're cheap smart meters anyways. Like if you want a Nest, it's going to be more expensive. And then they'll actually bake in the incentive for the demand response program if you sign up right there. So you could get like $80 off. So yes, there are rebates for those. All right, so.
That was the National Grid Marketplace program?
Yes, National Grid Marketplace.
Just one example of a utility. So that's not the only one that has a program.
Smart thermostat.
Okay.
Yes, smart thermostat is the answer to that question. So I will introduce Jason West with the City of Albany to give his story of their campaigns.
Tara, I'm sorry. I think they were specifically asking about a smart meter, not a thermostat.
Oh, yeah. I don't know that meters are. I don't know much about smart meter incentives or anything that's for that. The thermostats are the ones directly related to the demand response. So. All right, go ahead, Jason.
All right. Just share my screen here. There we go. Well, thank you all for having me this afternoon. As Tara said, my name is Jason West. I'm the Director of Sustainability for the City of Albany. Though I do want to say right up front that almost all of the work on these clean energy community campaigns has been done by our all-volunteer Sustainability Advisory Committee. So it's mostly been volunteers doing this work. Our story really starts not really with the city, but with the county. Albany County last fall put together their Community Sustainability Challenge. You can see the flyer right there on the right. What they did is they decided that they were going to bring together municipalities all through the county to collaborate on these community campaigns. So what they did was they recruited 8 of us, really, including the county itself. 8 communities in the county are currently engaged with clean energy communities campaigns. It helps the county because all of the efforts done in the individual municipalities also count towards the county goals. So it's a symbiotic relationship. It's a reciprocal relationship, just benefiting everyone. Excuse me as I stumble. There we go. Last October, the county launched the campaigns, put together this flyer that you see that everyone could use with links to more information, as well as releasing a press release in late October announcing the campaigns, and partnered with groups that are already doing the work, as Tara described in the program description. Our partners, I'm only going to talk about 2 of our 3 campaigns because someone else is talking about the EV campaign. So I'll just be talking about community solar and clean heating and cooling. So the partners that the county put together for this particular community campaign were Solarize Albany, which is an all-volunteer nonprofit that advocates for solar power in every situation it can, who helped us vet some solar installers to work with. Those were Nelnet Renewable Energy and Power Market. These are both community solar developers who are ready to sign people up right away. And both installers are actually providing a $200 Amazon gift card to anyone who signs up as an incentive on top of the 10% people save on their utility bill. So it's really a no-brainer for the community solar campaign. In terms of partners for clean heating and cooling, we have HeatSmart Capital Region, who vetted some installers for us to partner with, True Building Performance and the Radiance Store. We're also partnering with the Affordable Housing Partnership of the Capital Region, because low and moderate income customers are often eligible for Empower Assisted Home Performance programs, the Assisted Home Performance Program and others. So as we are out doing outreach and talking to people about these issues, we're signing people up for these programs as well in every case we can. In terms of the City of Albany itself, we launched our own branded Clean Energy Challenge at the same time. You can see the flyer that our Cultural Affairs Department put together there for our purposes. And we chose to do 3 of the 4: community solar, clean heating and cooling, electric vehicles. But I'm not going to talk about EVs, as I said. And with partners in place for each, really the only thing we have to do is spread the word. Our job is outreach. So how do we go about it? I think really our outreach tactics were pretty standard. They're pretty standard for volunteer groups, for activist groups, even for governments, and that they include tabling. Here we are tabling at the South End Earth Day a few weeks ago. Social media, though I think the impact of social media was pretty light. Here is an Instagram post we put up for community solar. You'll see we didn't get a lot of traction on that one. I was one of the 3 likes, so I don't know who the other 2 were, but I probably know them personally. So social media it's up in the air how effective it has been. We posted physical flyers at libraries and other locations around the city. Word of mouth obviously is a big driver of these things to legitimize technologies like community solar. We also put together an online form on the city website where if you answer a few simple questions, we can find out if you are eligible for Empower or other programs that the Affordable Housing Partnership might be able to help you with, whether you're interested in community solar, heat pumps, EVs. It helps us harvest data about people's interests and try to route them to the right agency to help them get what they need. We have had 8 people fill out that online form. There it is. It's simple. Google Forms. It's free to use, simple to insert into a website, and useful in the long term. We also sent an email out about the programs to all City of Albany employees, and I know just from talking to people that got some traction. But really, I think the one of the main drivers is probably the existing outreach by our partners. Because obviously they're already doing their own marketing, their own outreach, and we benefited from that. In the future, we do have one more round of one more tactic we're going to use, and that is we're going to be putting information on our campaigns into the water bill that's being mailed out shortly. So that'll go to every water customer, every property owner in the city. So we're trying everything that we know of and seeing if the combination yields some results. So here's the results. We have 109 community solar signups since the end of last October. 6 heat pumps have been installed. 4 energy efficiency installations have been done. And we were successful in getting grants awarded for both campaigns that got released in late February of 2022. And we are exploring the option now of using the grant money to buy electric vehicles for city pool cars. So we can take some other vehicles possibly out of circulation and replace them with EVs. So what did we learn? I'd say that there were 2 big takeaways from my point of view. This is just my personal opinion. First is a question and then a lesson learned. The first question I have is how many of our say 109 community solar signups might have signed up anyway, even without our outreach? I think that would be interesting to know, to not only know, but just to specifically measure our impacts. And that leads really into, I think, the biggest lesson learned for me as someone who was involved, but not one of the main drivers of the program. And that is, I think that at least in the City of Albany, we need a more sophisticated outreach apparatus if we're going to transition away from fossil fuels in time. So if 3 people are liking our Instagram posts, if 8 people are filling out our online form, that's just, we're not reaching people the way we should and the way we need to. Especially, we need an outreach apparatus that can be operated by volunteers in their spare time. And I think that's a conversation we'll be having among sustainability organizers in the City of Albany and see how we can improve our operations moving forward. So thank you very much.
Great, thanks, Jason. So up next is Joanne Coons from the town of Clifton Park and their Green Committee.
Hi, and thank you for having me. I'm going to get my screen share here going to get started. Okay. So I am Joanne Coons. I am a volunteer with the Town of Clifton Park Green Committee. And we did do the initial first round of the clean energy communities, and we got all jived up to do the second round. It changed a bit, and it was a bit more, let's just say, complicated with points. What they were really asking for us to do. I just want to throw that out there so that if you're having a little problem weeding through it and trying to make sense of it, there's a perfect solution. Just ask the outreach coordinator, either Haley or Tara, and they are what I call my Google of all things community, clean energy community campaigns. They know all the answers. They can help you decipher what it means and what you're supposed to be doing. So I really recommend participation in this program. And I think it's a really healthy and good community activity. Okay, so I'm to cover the demand response community campaign today. And I wrote down it's easy peasy because it really is. It's kind of like a no-brainer. You just got to know the right people. So that's what I'm going to be here to tell you all my secrets. All right. I did want to bring you to a link from National Grid. It's listed down here on the opening slide to explain what National Grid take is on the demand response, but I'll do that in a second, okay? I think Tara did a good job explaining what demand response is, but I'm a kind of a graphic picture person, so thought I'd just kind of throw that out there so that if you didn't understand why we need to do a demand response, this graph kind of tells the story. So demand response means that there's this peak energy load, and right now it's happening typically in our summer on the electric grid. And so what the
Joanne, sorry to interrupt. We're just seeing your main slide. I just want to make sure you're sharing the second slide, which I can see a preview of.
No, I'm glad you spoke up because not sure how to get there. Okay, I'll stop sharing and then go back in. How's that? I can see
if you just go to view slideshow.
How's that? What is it?
There we go. That's great.
Yeah, but I just pushed enter. I figured it would advance, but we'll see if the next one works. Okay, so right now it's happening in the summer, and so what the grid wanted to do is they'd have to expand to accommodate just this little time frame on just a couple days out of the year, which is really, really expensive to do. But if we all set our thermostat back a little bit and didn't use as much air conditioning, we could accommodate the existing grid. So that's the goal here. So what they are asking you to do is to use a smart thermostat and and they have control over it, so they can set it back a couple degrees. It's not going to be uncomfortable. And in my case, I have a very well insulated home, so that if for 3 hours they set it back 2 degrees, it probably would drop 1 degree. So I barely notice it. So that's the purpose and the reason behind demand response. It's actually a smart solution if you think about it. Instead of just build, why don't we be more energy efficient for a couple hours and accommodate? Okay, I'm going to hit enter, and if it doesn't advance, which it didn't on my screen either. Okay, did it advance on everybody else's screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. I don't know why the last time it didn't work, but it didn't work. Okay. So I think Tara kind of mentioned this too, but first thing you do is you just submit your scoping document. And I do need to tell you, it's one of those weird things. I teach science, and you know how they call one thing two different things. Well, it's the same situation here. We call it demand response by NYSERDA, and National Grid, which is where most of our electrical accounts are, calls it connected solutions. So you might want to take notes, because if you're looking for demand response, it's not going to be there. It's called connected solutions. So we submit our scoping document, and it's really, really easy. I pretty much cut and pasted what the goal was from connected solutions at National Grid website and put it into my scoping document. And so it was that easy. Don't have to reinvent the wheel. Okay. Then the next thing we had in our scoping document, we were talking about how we're going to promote. So we said that we would do a seminar. We would post on our Facebook account, the green Facebook account. And this is an example of what was posted. And we took screenshots of this and submitted it as documentation that we did in fact do that. So I think they were okay with just a limited amount of PR that we had planned. And we kind of said that COVID, you know, we didn't have any planned events because we couldn't do any in-person stuff at that point. Okay, so here's the magic of the demand response for the community campaigns. Jeff Arica, who is actually a Clifton Park resident, which I was unaware of, is in charge of the demand response National Grid program. And he has access to all the names of everybody who signed up via zip code. So Jeff sent us everybody's name and all the information that we needed to document for validation to get a submission to our campaign. And we listed them and we submitted it. And we also submitted the documentation that we did in fact do the PR that we said we'd do. Whether or not that PR had these people sign up, it was a cause of that, or that they were signing up with National Grid anyhow, I can't really tell you. In fact, I think he had like 28 signups in Clifton Park, and we only needed 5. So it put us over the top, and it was easy peasy, like I said. So that's pretty much how we accomplished that. I suppose it's a dirty little secret, but hey, I want to share what works. And then it was just 2 days ago, we received this nice email that said, congratulations, we received credit for our demand response campaign. So now we are going to think up how we want to apply the $5,000 action grant, and we will be doing that application. One part of the program, which we didn't pursue, but I think is probably very worthy to do, and it's not that we aren't going to do it, we just haven't done it yet, and we didn't commit to do it in our scoping document, is that demand response also applies to businesses and commercial accounts. And it's set up a little bit differently. And I did want to take you to that website for National Grid so that you can see what you'll be seeing when you go to that website. Okay, this is, I hope you can see this. This is the National Grid Connected Solutions website. It's very simple. When you sign up, you get $30, and every year after that you participate, you get $20. Doesn't really seem like a lot of money to do something like that, but, and some people do have hangups as I don't want somebody controlling my thermostat, but it's really not very invasive. You are helping the grid, you're saving energy, and you're making a little bit of money. And it explains how it works here. And they expect to have about 10 to 15 different events throughout the year, so that they'd be setting your thermostat ahead or back, depending if it's weather, it's the winter or the summer. most of the times right now it's the summer. Okay, and then you need to buy one of these thermostats, and they do have, like Tara said, some rebates and such for purchasing these. This is the way of the future. You're really setting yourself up for future energy management of the grid and your home. I think somebody asked the question about a smart meter, and I might be able to speak to that. Here in Clifton Park, we had a demo project by National Grid, which meant that they switched out every single meter to a smart meter. This is what's going to be coming down the pike, so that they will have access to all of your appliances, and they will have there'll be communications between appliances and heating and cooling systems and the grid, and you can actually track everything almost in real time as to how much you're using, which is good because the traditional meter is usually like a month delayed, so you really don't have a very good sense of what's going on. All right, so getting back to the commercial business, they pay really high demand charge rates, and by using the smart meter and agreeing to set back your thermostat during these events, they pay you pretty nice penny for cutting back your energy. And the reason it's different for commercial versus residential is that commercial uses a heck of a lot more energy. So if they can really cut back and not use the energy during those peak demands, they're really saving the grid. And another thing that's coming down the pike, another reason to get situated into these smart meters and thermostats, is that there's going to start to be people that have solar or batteries are going to be energy producers, and they can start to be paid for the energy that they can give back to the grid and reduce that demand during those events. So if you want to be in good shape to be ready for the future, which is coming fast, this is a great program, a little intro to it, and you'll be good to go. So that's kind of my take on it. It was really an easy $5,000, and we're really excited about receiving the grant and making people a little bit more aware about their energy and use of it properly. So any questions, free to ask. Oh, and now I'd like to introduce from Queensbury, Kathy Bozzoni. She's going to be speaking about EVs, I believe.
Thanks, Joanne.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to just pull up my screen share. Okay, I'm Kathy Bozzoni. I work with the town of Queensbury, and Queensbury has a clean energy community committee and a climate smart community committee. I have been asked to talk about the electric vehicle community campaign. I wanted to first start sharing with you that the town of Queensbury has been committed to electric vehicles and LED and greenhouse gas reduction for a number of years. When the Clean Energy Community Committee was formed in 2017, the first initiative that the committee wanted to purchase with an initial grant that the town received was electric vehicle charging station. And this was at the water department, which prompted the purchase of an electric vehicle, a Nissan Leaf. Also, the committee, the CEC committee, earned the $50,000 award for achieving the high impact actions, and this was back several years. And the first thing they did was they purchased this plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, and also they replaced the decorative high pressure sodium streetlights with LED bulbs. So those were terrific grants that NYSERDA awarded the town. The town was able to complete those actions, and it was just really put us right in the right direction. We decided in last summer to actually create a solar community campaign and electric vehicle community campaign. And I've been asked to talk about the electric vehicle specifically. We were awarded the monies earlier this year for both of them as having completed them. First thing was the town board passed a resolution unanimously to participate in both of these community campaigns. I filed the scoping document. In the scoping document, they had asked what you were going to spend the money if you were awarded. And we had, our committee unanimously has wanted to go ahead and replace the remaining streetlights in the town of Queensbury with LED bulbs. So that's a goal that the town is currently working on right now. The first thing I did last June was research all local car dealerships and identified what electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids were available from each auto manufacturer. And as you know, that is constantly changing, and there's a lot of new all-wheel drive vehicles that are coming in right now, which is predominantly what many towns prefer for their staff. The biggest part of the program was contacting the car dealerships, and basically this program is cars that are sold to Queensbury residents. So I contacted dealerships in Queensbury, Lake George, Warrensburg, and Glens Falls. I started this work last June, and I had great conversations with all these dealerships that participated in our program. And basically talking with them, sharing the vision of the town and the committee, the CEC and CSC committees, and promoting the program. I sent them many emails explaining and sharing NYSERDA's vision for what this program was. So we had great participation, and they were all really keen on promoting their electric vehicles. The problem was it was 2021 and COVID really interrupted their inventory. So it was a little bit of a challenge there. Basically, we advertised the electric vehicle with the solar community campaign at the same time. The only exception was the solar community campaign has signups. We have 4 different solar companies that you can sign up right directly on the Queensbury website. We did not advertise anything on the Queensbury website for the electric vehicle community campaign. But the non-governmental, not-for-profit, all the groups locally, they promoted it on their websites, sent it out in Facebook, community forums, Nextdoor, Front Porch. Again, committee members had relations with these different organizations and entities. Farmers Market, there were brochures that were handed out, and a lot of the volunteer committee members spoke with many people. So that was a really positive thing. In Queensbury, there are many really great committees of all sorts, and they did email blasts. We had town board meetings where it was announced that these campaigns were ongoing. One of our town board members went on Look TV and actually promoted both the electric vehicle and the solar community campaign and conversations. It was great because you could always find one of these 2 campaigns to talk to people about. And this is what ended up within 5 weeks. The town had accomplished or had completed residents had purchased 10 vehicles. At that time, now it is 5 vehicle is the limit, but it was 10 vehicles then. And within 5 weeks or so, Glens Falls Romeo Toyota had sold 9 RAV4 Prime plug-in hybrid electric vehicles to Queensbury residents. So again, I'm not promoting this. Obviously, they had the inventory. They were able to get the RAV4. And Queensbury residents purchased them. So although, all these other dealers have electric vehicles or plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, some of them were not able to get them timely. Again, our campaign was very short because it happened quickly and we were able to file and receive our $5,000. But nevertheless, we're still promoting electric vehicles. We're still working with these car dealerships. I did just contact the Romeo Toyota. They've sold 15 of them to date since last August to Queensbury residents. So again, I'm not promoting Glens Falls Romeo Toyota, but they really are the ones that helped us get over this, the 10 goal of sales. Also, we included some, excuse me, they accepted used plug-in hybrids that had been sold as well. So, and the nice thing about talking with all these, continuously talking with all these car dealers is I've learned a lot about what is upcoming, what new vehicles are coming down the road, and you know, what the future is, and it's good. So that's it. It was a very easy, quick campaign for this, but it is still ongoing.
Thanks so much, Kathy. And I'll just mention, you know, all the campaigns have their challenges, but I would say that the EV one is probably the most unique in that dealerships don't quite understand what we're asking of them. So the fact that you were able to kind of build those relationships with the dealerships and explain to them what the program is, you know, they've got, they're busy. I mean, all of these types of companies are busy. So are heat pump installers, but they, I think it's just interesting because they don't quite know what we were asking. So it's good that you were able to make that accomplishment. And it just shows that there's a lot of EVs being purchased out there, and it's good to capture the data. So I'm not sure if there's questions from the group for any of the presenters or Kathy.
Yeah, folks, you know, we can certainly accept questions in the chat or the Q&A. We've been able to get to those as they've come up over the course of the webinar. So I think we've been able to get everybody. You've had your contact information up, and if people want to get together, reach out to our speakers individually, they can certainly reach out to CDRPC, and we can put you in touch with the resources that our speakers have provided today. I do want to mention again, I will share my screen again. Let me go to make sure I'm sharing the right screen. Okay, great. Where people can find archived copies of these presentations. This is the Eventbrite page. If you click on access the event, I'm going to open this up in a new tab here. If you click access the event from either your email or you go to eventbrite.com and sign in, you'll be able to access that page with the archives for the webinar series. Here's the prior event regarding the presentation we had from Environmental Facilities Corporation. This is today's event. We'll certainly be able to post our video as soon as it renders from YouTube just below this item as well. So you'll find an archived copy of that. I think we are good to go with our automatic reminders. We had a snafu, so thanks to people that reached out to me about not getting their automatic reminder. I believe since we've updated our registration system to include everybody as a de facto registrant, that when you do sign in to attend a webinar, you will get those automatic email generation, those automatic emails that generate and confirm your attendance in the webinar series. So thanks to folks that reached out to us about that. So again, access our website. You can certainly find out more about the resources that were part of today's webinar series. I do want to give a plug for Wednesday, May 11th. That will be Adapting Planning Board Procedures for the Digital Age. That's made possible by Delaware Engineering. That'll be a great session covering a lot of the ins and outs of planning board, zoning board hearings, how they're digital, how they're accepting comments, rules of procedure, public engagement, open meetings law. It'll be certainly interesting to hear Delaware's perspective on how the new world is when we're interacting with members of the public or reviewing applications before planning and zoning board officials. So I really hope folks will make time to join us. That will be at Wednesday, May 11th, and that will be at 1 p.m. I do want to really thank our presenters for sharing their knowledge this afternoon with us, spending an hour with us, talking about their clean energy campaigns and what they've been engaged with their communities. It's really great work. I want to thank my colleague Tara for helping to organize this session and really just appreciate the time that Joanne and Kathy and Jason took to join us this afternoon and share their wisdom. So without much more ado, is there any other ado? No more ado? Oh, we got one more question from Robert about the email confirmation. I'll make sure to check your attendance, Robert, and I will make sure to email you a confirmation if you were able to attend. So thank you for the heads up on that. With that, I'll close things out. I look forward to seeing folks on Wednesday the 11th as we talk about updating planning and zoning procedures, adapting for the digital age with our sponsor, Delaware Engineering. So thank you, everybody. Have a great Friday and enjoy your weekend. Take care.
Thank you all.